We are the best team in Malaysia because we have strong and veteran players.
It's a hurricane, it's over. Before you know it, why you shaking?
BTR adalah tim pertama yang masuk GPL dan kita akan membuat kejutan di sana.
Royalty, now we're breaking down the enemy, move over.
ก็ตัวไฟ MSI 2018 นี้ก็ค่อนข้างมีความหมายกับทีมครับเพราะว่าจะโชว์ให้รู้ว่าทีมไทยก็ไปเวทีระดับโลกได้ครับ
It's all for this. We're gonna stand on top with
I think this GPL is a chance for all the 5 countries to really show that what they can do and how much they can perform, especially going into MSI, as the winner will get a slot at the MSI play groups. So it's a chance to do our country proud.
To the other 4 teams in this GPL, good luck to everyone and may the best team win. And hopefully the winner will represent the region very well in MSI.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Southeast Asian English broadcast of the 2018 Garena Premier League spring season. We're currently at the group stage where we've just witnessed 3 games total. Have passed so far, of course, Ascension Gaming currently in the lead after taking yet another victory against Sovereign of Singapore. Will they manage to climb their way to the top? Of course, that's a different story. As our next game, we're going to have to take a quick break from that, as it will be Bigatron Esports of Indonesia versus Kuala Lumpur Hunters of Malaysia. That'll be taking the stage for now. But of course, before we talk about this next matchup right here, we'll be introducing ourselves as your casters for this game. I'm Mark the Cat, your service fam, and of course, with me is Chisto. Man, Chisto, with the games this intense, I just had to slick back my hair because, like, especially during that game 3, I was sweating thinking that, okay, is Sovereign going to make that comeback? Unfortunately, there were just too many resources expended for them, which pretty much led to Ascension Gaming sealing the deal, ending their day 1 in a 2-0.
Yeah, and Arctic, we're past that halfway point for today, as 3 games have already been played, but we're headed into this 4th match. It is between, like we said, Kuala Lumpur Hunters from Malaysia versus Bigatron Esports from Indonesia. And the interesting thing here is, Arctic, both these teams played earlier. Unfortunately for both of them, they weren't able to pick up a victory. So after this 4th match of today, one team will definitely come out with the win and the other will be in a very, very dangerous position, because with this format, we have 5 teams competing, only 4 move on to the playoffs.
Yeah, and of course, with this new format right here, technically pretty much almost still the same as these previous GPLs. Of course, the massive difference right here is Vietnam is no longer in the running for the GPL. Let's go ahead and review this lineup right here. So KLH actually going to be sticking to the same peeps right here. One of the significant changes to their roster as of this recent GPL is, of course, the incorporation of What the Jess onto this roster right here. Of course, so far, unfortunately, Malaysia was not able to go all out as far as demonstrating what benefit that does have for them. Meanwhile, for the side of Bigatron Esports, they'll be sticking to their guns with Minky, Mintree, Radiance, Zico, as well as Bane. So there has been a lot of hype with Bigatron Esports as of this recent Garuda series. One of the teams that nobody was expecting to win as of this recent season, but they defied the odds, managed to clinch that champion into their first GPL representation.
Yeah, and of course, we saw the rosters right there, and the interesting thing for KLH, they aren't playing with the original 5 members that won them their region. They had to take a sub for their support role. It is What the Jess filling in for that role. I did talk to their manager about this, and she told me that they still were able to mesh very well with their sub support. So I really think that KLH can still pack a punch here versus Bigatron Esports.
I mean, we'll just have to see, man, because like you mentioned earlier, this is an opportunity wherein both teams don't quite have a victory yet. So this could kind of at least allow them a little bit of breathing room to make sure to keep the dream of live at least making playoffs pretty much within their grasp.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that any team that makes playoffs would be very happy because everything practically resets and you get a brand new shot at potentially heading over to MSI. But yeah, for this match, the important thing to note is whoever loses will be in a very dangerous position when it comes to qualifying for the playoffs as we head straight into the pick and ban phase. It looks like the Azir and the Rise will be taken away from Radiance here. KLH just not opting to deal with those champions.
Interesting so far. So I like that there is a tad bit of emphasis here on Radiance not really granting him the optimal picks, because as far these are pretty much optimal picks that might have been scouted by KLH, because these are champions that Radiance has found much success on during their run in the Garuda series. So no surprises that not only are these of meta, but also what champions BTR could have potentially utilized. But wow!
Can they please lock this in?
I'm fingers crossed, man. I would love to see an Akali in the GPL.
Maybe Shiro is just trolling us, but who knows?
Nah.
Maybe the Akali will be locked in. Probably not. The Olaf will be picked up here by the Kuala Lumpur Hunter. So Olaf, one of the strongest junglers as of the moment, of course, having that early game pressure, especially when you pair it with the Predator. It's really hard to get away once he lands that first undertow onto you. He just chains those axes once he picks them up. And it's very hard to deal with an Olaf, especially once he hits level 6. You really can't stop this guy, quite literally.
Pretty much. I'm wondering though how KLH is going to be utilizing that Olaf as we head into once we hit the game in just a bit. But so far with these two picks, no surprises actually. Minky just very much comfortable with this Camille if ever they do indeed send this Camille towards top side. We have seen these instances where she is flexed and looks like they'll be going for a little bit of a safer marksman here for Zico in the form of the Caitlyn.
Yeah, and this Caitlyn is also a denial pick from KLH. I think Azoroveki was able to play that pick very, very well during their first match. Even though they didn't win, I think his performance on Caitlyn was quite good. Let's see though what the response will be from Kuala Lumpur Hunters. The Varus gonna be the response to the Caitlyn locked in. I wonder, will they pick up their support here for their third pick? What will they pair up with the Varus in the bot lane?
Wondering, but still so far looks like both sides playing to their key strengths, what champions that they are efficient at, what they have found success at during their own respective leagues. Well, it looks like it is going to be the Shen lock-in for Shiro.
Okay, it will be the Shen, kind of a flex pick in a sense where we have seen Shen support some places, but this is most likely going over to Shiro in the top lane, gonna be the answer to potentially a Camille top lane. As for Bigatron Esports, think it will be the Karma and Caitlyn dual lane in the bot lane. A lot of flex picks on the side of BTR because the Karma could also go to the support, whereas the Camille could also go to the jungle. So the mind games here, Arctic.
Yeah,
very, very important.
And this Karma right here, this has been a champion that BTR flexed during the Garuda Series finals. We have seen Radiance play it off quite comfortably. So a Spade, depending on what composition they go for, what kind of configuration they want to go for as early as lane phase, heading into the mid to late game once bigger fights happen, depending on who they want, very well protected within the early parts. But now let's go ahead and check out the second rotation of bans here. This Swain looks like will be another optimal pick denied from the Kuala Lumpur Hunters right off the bat.
And it's actually very interesting here since because both the Camille and Karma are flex picks, KLH have to decide which role they want to pinch in their second phase of banning, and I think the mind games are paying off here as KLH will go for a very standard denial, just gonna take away the Sejuani from Mintry.
Yeah, just gonna be going for safer picks like you mentioned, in the sense that, you know, if we can't really determine which particular champion is going for what role, so why not just go for champion bans that will surely maybe be a detriment regardless of what role these picks go for BTR, because that's the interesting thing about Bigatron Esports. They have that flexibility with compositions. They could play champions even that are very much well off their comfort roles, especially Minky. Upon talking to a lot of the players from Indonesia, very much comfortable in fighters, but can go for the occasional tank if it helps supplement the team towards a victory with the strategies that they have in mind.
Yeah, and it looks like Kuala Lumpur Hunters have decided to pinch the jungle role. I wonder though, will BTR choose to flex the Camille into the jungle? We're gonna find out, but with the Rengar hover, you have to assume that the Camille is definitely going in Minky's hands, gonna stay in the top lane.
Interesting. So looks like the Rengar will be fielded out by BTR. Take note, there's not really much data here on Mintry, as it was actually Starless that played jungle for Bigatron Esports during the entirety of the 2018 spring season for the Garuda series. So not much is known as far as how deep his champ pool goes, but looks like with these bans right here coming in from the side of Kuala Lumpur Hunters, had to dig in a little bit deeper with that Rengar pool.
Yeah, and for the last pick of Bigatron Esports, they can still choose to flex the Karma here. So regarding of what matchup they see, now Bigatron knows that it will be the Vladimir in the mid lane and the Poppy in the top lane. I wonder where they choose to put the Karma.
Wow.
Okay.
But looks like one of your assumptions from earlier once the Shen pick was picked up by KLH is definitely correct. It may potentially not be for Shiro as we were anticipating. Could be going to what the Jess. But then again, this is KLH we're talking about. They do have that potential to pull off these interesting picks at times. Not just for the shock factor, but too much efficiency towards realizing what their win conditions are.
Yeah, and so far the mind games for BTR are over as far as the champ select goes. We'll be sure that the Karma is going to the mid lane. Radiance will be bringing that into our Hedges Vladimir as the Taric is locked in. So what this Taric will do, it'll give protection to both the Rengar and the Camille as they dive in, because the Cosmic Radiance will give them a few extra seconds of invulnerability versus KLH. So BTR, it looks like they just want to constantly dive here.
Yeah, very well. Feel it out here for both sides, I gotta say. I mean, like we mentioned earlier, we're kind of anticipating potential flex games between both sides, but I guess it was much more prevalent here with Kuala Lumpur Hunters having flexed that Shen into the sport. But I'm wondering how this will go down here. I kind of like the Poppy pick though. Not only does it not allow the Camille to just go all in right off the bat, potentially with the Rengar as well with the surprise gank. So we'll just have to see though.
Yeah, I actually like the Poppy pickup because her W will deny a lot of the diving potential that BTR has. So let's just wait and see, can they utilize the fact that they have that option to deny the engage, because as we head on to the Rift, it all comes down to execution, Arctic.
Yeah, and with that execution though, I mean, this was a discussion that we were having during just the general start of this game, wherein neither side has even pulled off a victory, although we are just on day one, so there's a tad bit of room to try to remedy that. But I'd say that every victory counts at this point, since although there is the positive that Vietnam is out of the picture for the GPL, it also leaves less room for error because of the less number of games that you're actually playing within this group stage.
And you'd also want to end the day on a high note as well, Artie. This is the final game for both teams for the day, and they definitely want to go home with a win.
It's like looking at what's happening live at Thailand right now. Both teams are just kind of raring to go. So, of course, to all our summoners out there that are wondering where GPL is currently being played out, the last GPL we'll actually be having before we transition to the massive changes that we're having in Southeast Asia. There you have it, folks. It looks like Thailand pretty much going to be hosting just that, and really interested in seeing how this will ultimately go out. So ladies and gents, once again, looks like we'll be heading on to the Rift for what is Game 4 between Kuala Lumpur Hunters of Malaysia versus Bigatron Esports of Indonesia. Both teams looking out to get their first win within the GPL. Let's see who comes off.
Oh, no face check!
Yautza, that will be Minky though, will be forced to get out of the way. Luckily for him, didn't expend any of his summoners, so had the discipline to at least know that he could grapple his way out of there.
Yeah, man, but if KLH had more members in that bush, Minky would definitely have died just to the damage coming from all of them, so he's kind of lucky that he gets to recall and reset.
Yeah, lucky for Minky indeed. And you have to take note, this was a discussion that we were talking about earlier, that Minky, he's one of the prime players that has been talked about by the Indonesian squads as a force to be reckoned with for the side of Bigatron Esports. Sure, everybody across the board has done magnificent for BTR. It's just that Minky was one of the clear standouts that a lot of the Indonesians have been talking about when we did manage to get a few interviews in onto some of the participants of the Garuda series. So pretty interesting though. Luckily for Minky, won't be needing to suffer falling behind right off the bat.
Yeah, I think he'll have a much safer time in the top lane, because had he burned his flash during that face check, that means that Castiel would have had more incentive to head towards the top lane. Regardless of the Camille having the hook shot, there's always the Poppy to deny that escape.
Man, so far though, looks like we will be seeing equal grounds for both sides here. Interesting to note, for both junglers, will be transitioning towards opposite sides of the maps with their rotation. So, wondering if this will transition to eventual ganks. From what we are seeing here though, looks like KLH, Zoroveki, as well as What the Jess have this lane pushed out quite a bit here towards the bot side.
You know, I'm really interested to see how this Rengar will be played out because we haven't seen that much Rengar in competitive as far as recent memory. And there has been a slight of change onto the Rengar where his Q was reverted. Now instead of doing that double slash thing, it now just gives you attack speed on your next few attacks. So that is a slight of a bit of a change. I think it's good for Rengar. It's a bit healthy, but we're yet to see how strong it can be in competitive.
Interesting you bring that up because not only is this a factor of champion for Bigatron Esports as far as choice goes, but the fact that Mintry himself, this is a little bit of something that BTR is playing against, wherein they haven't had as much practice.
They're gonna fight here.
But okay, looks like Caspiel and Mintry are gonna spot each other out. RH actually goes for a flash into trying to get the supplemental damage for the kill, but looks like Mintry will survive just fine. Was forced to expend his flash though, just to make sure that he's safe.
Yeah, his Raptor camp will also be stolen away by Caspiel. I think that was a smart flash by Mintry to deny the damage coming in from RH, because if he didn't flash away, I think the Ignite would have been enough to tick down on this Rengar and picked up first blood. So luckily enough, he will survive, but that's still a flashless Rengar.
And that will kind of dwindle his potential a bit as far as getting successful ganks off in lane by getting optimal damage off on champions, but still a little bit of a small step up. Ooh, Mintry.
Nice find.
Yep, we'll do just fine there. But meanwhile, from what we've been seeing here towards this bot side constantly, What the Jess and Zoroveki really have both Spade and Zico on their toes with this wave constantly being pushed out. I gotta say though, in all fairness to them, waves have been pretty much managed out quite well. CS differences aren't at much of a difference, so
yeah, they are pushing out that lane quite well. It will allow Caspiel to have a bit more freedom towards the blue side jungle of BTR. If he chooses to invade, that means his team can always support him.
Interesting you mentioned invades because we did see an attempt coming in from Mintry earlier, but good in on Caspiel. If we notice how he was farming out that red buff, was kind of walking back in between just to make sure that he has sight of if ever Mintry might have gone for an invade. So far I like the preemptive moves coming in here from the Koala overall.
Yeah, it's still very early into the game though, Arctic, and you know, I'm really waiting to see once this Rengar hits level 6, it's very crucial that he's able to pull off a successful gank with that first ultimate, because the cooldown is fairly high this early into the game, and if you aren't able to get a nice snowball just from your first ultimate, it's gonna be quite a while until you can set anything up once again with the Rengar.
Meanwhile, so far, looks like both sides are kind of taking a little bit more easier. It looks like Caspiel is going to go for a gutsy move towards the side of Bigatron Esports, looking for an opportunity. We'll just transition into a gank.
He's going to pop Predator here.
It is interesting to note, though, that Zoroveki and What the Jess were kind of making a preemptive move to allow Caspiel this gank. Like, for most of the first few minutes of this game, they've been pushed in, but now they've been allowing both Zico and Spade to push this out. It looks like we will be seeing that gank transpire right then and there. That's going to be the Sun connecting on two members of Kuala Lumpur Hunters. Looks like Zico and Spade are trying to run it out, but unfortunately the damage is just too much for Zico to take. First blood will go to KLH.
Yeah, well played by the Kuala Lumpur Hunters jungler and bot lane. Caspiel, he stayed just out of range from that ward in the bush, so that means he will be able to pick up a first blood for his team, and that's big for this Varus.
So far, so good here, and that's Zoroveki we're talking about here for KLH. I mean, as far as KLH, I think one of the players that we really look forward to is Zoroveki. He's pretty much a star in Malaysia in his own right, and a constant fan favorite, especially for All-Star. We have seen him play as of the more recent. Let's go ahead and check out that replay as to how that went down.
Yeah, of course, you're really... Oh, that's very unlucky. Zico actually used his 90 caliber net the wrong way. That's why he wasn't able to escape it. At that point, you really just have to give up your life, Arctic. You already burned your flash, and then you hop back to the enemy team. There's really no getting away.
Yeah, I guess it happens sometimes, the jitters.
It happens to the best of us, Arctic.
Yeah, just probably not the most optimal place for it to happen, though. But still, I mean, a little bit of a leg up here for KLH. Still early in the game, like you mentioned earlier, so there is still room for Zico to, you know, not allow that to set him too behind. If you're going to notice, though, CS is still pretty much equal between these both sides. So I think that he has that going for him at least.
Yeah, I mean, the Caitlyn, it is still just one kill over to the side of KLH. It hasn't snowballed out of proportion yet, but they have to cut down on mistakes such as that.
A little bit more of, okay, so one mistake there, but if it happens twice, then that's kind of where you want to set the line. But okay, so a little bit of a juke out here between both Minky as well as Shiro. Just a few scratches here and there.
Yeah, of course, the Poppy can actually trade with the Camille. There are windows once Minky doesn't have his shield up or doesn't have the tactical sweep. The Poppy can go in for a bit of these trades, but Shiro is still on the losing side. So he has to be careful.
Meanwhile, looks like Minky gonna make for this, getting a little bit of sustenance for him in that lane. So very calm from what we've been seeing here, with the exception of what happened towards the bot side. But overall, nothing really much here.
Yeah, I really wouldn't be surprised to see more action happen towards the bot side of the map, given that the flash is down for both members from BTR, and there's really no way the Caitlyn and Tarek can run away from the Olaf as Chain of Corruption.
Yeah, a little bit of a right there. Quite the damage on Spade. Looks like that will be the Sun, though, to prevent Azora Vecchi from dishing out even more damage amidst that trade.
Oh,
Okay.
Caspiel is actually here in the bot lane. They're trying to set up for a dive. There's no way they can stop this Olaf.
Yep, looks like this could potentially be tricky for both Zico and Spade. Looks like they decide to walk it out, but that's going to be Caspiel. He goes straight in onto the bot lane of Megatron Esports. Yautza, the damage is just too much, even under turret, and looks like that will be the kill. Double kill going to Caspiel, supplemented by the Stand United.
Man, that dive was perfectly executed by the Kuala Lumpur Hunters. It looks like there are no synergy issues regarding of their support being a sub for their team.
That was
with that
flawless.
dive. First tower will go over to Kuala Lumpur Hunters. The early game just going completely in their favor.
Exactly, man. And let's go ahead and see, though. Okay, so a little bit of a juke out here between both Shiro as well as Minky. Minky actually manages to get the kill before he goes down himself. A little bit of a one-for-one trade. Not badly played by the top laner of BTR, though.
Yeah, too many CC.
Yeah, there you
Too
go.
much CC from the Poppy right there. I think Minky wasn't able to lock him down long enough to dish out all of his damage. And man, so far, this early game still going in favor of Kuala Lumpur Hunters. We're yet to see this Rengar pick pan out.
So far, though, I mean, this is quite the build-up that we're seeing here from Kuala Lumpur Hunters. And it is interesting to note that amidst all this proactivity, it's further supplemented by vision that we're seeing across this riverside. So could be a little bit more trickier for Mintry to look for opportunities depending on how his pathing goes across the map.
Yeah, looking at this game, compared to Kuala Lumpur Hunters' first game, it looks like they've warmed up already because they've cut down on their early mistakes, and that's why you see them ahead. While we transition onto the mid-game, they've already rotated both Azora Vecchi and What the Jest towards the top lane. Gonna try and push down this top lane tower, which hasn't taken any damage until now. It looks like BTR do want to defend this, but with Caspiel roaming up as well, we're gonna see a fight.
Yeah, that's quite the hold there on Caspiel right there, but it looks like Kuala Lumpur Hunters, they're going to come after this. 3 members of BTR, they are slowly trying to back away. Our Hedge will be joining the fray as well, try to get the slow onto Spade. Looks like they're in continuous pursuit. They want in on the start. Spade forced to flash away, but that's going to be the taunt, and 2 members of BTR go down. Mintry might be a casualty himself, but no, looks like he survives to tell the tale, but that ends in a 2-0 in favor of the Hunters.
KLH are bullying Bigatron Esports bot lane right now, regardless of where BTR sends them. It looks like KLH are always on the hunt just to pick on both Zico and Spade, and just like that, they've already accounted for 5 of the 6 kills of Kuala Lumpur Hunters, and just like that, they take down the bot lane again. They take down the top lane outer turret.
BTR, they really need to hold their ground in this. KLH, they're really starting to build up from what I'm seeing here. Like you mentioned, as far as the bot lane for KLH, kill participation is massive alongside Caspiel. And interesting as well. That's going to be Rift Herald. KLH, they're getting a lot of value amidst all these pickoffs. I mean, they were able to transition to turrets towards bot side, able to get Dragon, transition towards top side, getting all those kills, plus a turret, transition into Rift Herald. So it's like the perfect scenario stars aligning for the Hunters right now.
Yeah, KLH have been constantly diving the members of BTR, and you have to ask the question, Arctic, when will the response from the rest of Bigatron will come? Because we haven't seen any of them respond to their bot lane getting dove over and over. KLH have effectively shut down the Caitlyn and the Taric, and they won't be a factor in this game until probably 20 minutes later, if this game even lasts that long.
I think that's the tricky part right there, because KLH, they're starting to mill through over. We haven't seen as much proactivity from Bigatron Esports, so at least try to remedy this, try to get back on equal playing field. But then again, of course, with these first tier turrets towards top and bottom, down, looks like KLH gonna make the convergence to make that a full set in the mid lane.
Yeah, once they take down this mid lane tower, it's gonna be very scary for Bigatron because the map will be closed. They won't be able to lay down vision without being under threat of walking into an Olaf, walking into a Shenton, or even a Chain of Corruption, because KLH, they won't hesitate to pull the trigger. They're that far ahead at this point, and they're just confident to constantly go for these fights.
Exactly, and looks like KLH gonna make a rotation here, gonna clear out vision from the side of Bigatron Esports, denying a little bit of control over their own side of the map, not to mention. So that's gonna be a bit tricky here for BTR, especially when they try to make, when they want to try to make this climb back into the game. So tricky. Oh,
Void Patches
actually gets a lock-in onto that Taric. Spade though, looks like Cosmic Radiance tries to hold him out, but unfortunately won't be enough. Looks like BTR, they're looking for an angle to try to turn it, but no, they have to restrain themselves a bit there, my friend.
The Rengar can't jump in. Both bushes to the sides, both have control wards, and with the Poppy being in the middle of the entire team, there is no way Mintry can jump into the middle, and with the Rift Herald taken earlier, it looks like KLH will break open the mid lane outer turret, and now they've opened up the map.
Yes, and it looks like they're not done just yet. But okay, they will be taking the calm route. We'll back away for the meantime. They don't really need to push that boundary. But then again, with that though, Dragon is up, so this is a good turnaround to take just that.
I mean, they don't need to overextend Arctic. They see a free Mountain Drake. Why not let's take a free Mountain Drake? So far, 7-1 in kills, only 14 minutes into the game. Are they gonna try and fight here?
Looks like KLH is going to bring the fight right away from BTR. I don't think they were expecting that. BTR, they're slowly trying to back away. Looks like Mintry might be the next casualty here. He's on the run for his life right now. Flash in, coming in. Caspiel is now on a rampage, and that is going to be two members further taken down amidst that dragon fight.
Yeah, a well-deserved rampage there for Caspiel. He has been the catalyst for KLH. He has been the one setting up for majority of these plays. I don't think Bigatron should have fought there, because now it will cost them the tier 2 tower down in the mid lane. Man, Bigatron's options are constantly being limited here, both by the proactive plays from Kuala Lumpur Hunters and some minor errors on their part, because I really don't think they should have fought there.
Whew. You know what, come to think of it, we were having this discussion earlier about how, since Vietnam is out of the picture, this is kind of the time for the rest of the 5 countries to show who's the strongest player at their certain role. And with Levi out of the picture, Caspiel, one of those prime candidates to probably be considered even one of the best junglers right now in the GPL. And I think with this game right here, 4-0-3 on this Olaf, it's a very clear demonstration as to why.
Well, you know, when Vietnam was still in GPL, I think there's no question that Levi was probably the best jungler. But yeah, like, I have to agree with what you said. Caspiel has been stepping up, even though his first game kind of had a bit of a hiccup.
Yes.
For this game, his play is clean.
And I think that's the interesting thing. Like, once there's that setback, that's where things kind of fall down flat. Very, very flat. But once he gets it, he gets it. And I think that's what's kind of prevailing right now, what's unraveling for the Kuala Lumpur Hunters right now. You also not just have to give credit to Caspiel, Ozora Vecchi as well. This is probably one of the best games I've seen from him yet. Beautiful extension, almost max range of the Chains of Corruption earlier. So just overall, very well played here by KLH thus far within these first few minutes. I think from what was played out earlier during Game 1, a tad bit of a warm-up, you know, just shake off the jitters. Going into Game 2, definitely looking much, much more cleaner.
Yeah, and since the 2 towers already went down in the mid lane, there's no safe place for BTR to fall back if KLH do invade their jungle. And look at the vision control here. so many control wards being invested by the Hunters just to clear out vision in BTR's jungle. Bigatron are practically blind right now, and it's so scary to face check all of these bushes, especially if none of them are tanky enough to survive, as looks like Caspiel will just chunk down Spade.
Normally something that I don't see, you know, an Olaf chasing down what's supposedly a tanky character, but then again, that's the lead that Caspiel has right now. Because of how fed he is on this Olaf right now, could easily mill through even the tankiest member of Bigatron Esports. And I think that's such a deficiency. I love that you mentioned that KLH, they're pretty much on top of vision, but I'll have to hold off right there. Minky might actually be in for the fight of his life. Man, Shiro dealt quite the punch there.
Yeah, I think Minky was very patient right there, waiting for the W from Poppy to come out before he used his hook shot. But Caspiel so far the MVP of this game. Can he pick up a kill onto Minky?
Ooh, Minky, fortunately, will he at least go for the execute?
Oh no!
Just one more hit, but that axe could easily land. Ooh, actually manages to go for the dodge, and looks like Yautza just right there. Caspiel at the last millisecond lands that axe for the kill.
Oh man, that's incredibly lucky. It was very clear that his intention was to execute, but hold up, top lane.
Yeah, that's a full lockdown right then and there. On to Radiance. He's going to go down quite efficiently. KLH with that takedown, they're going to mill through the second tier turret.
Yeah, Bigatron haven't been having the best game so far. It's been very difficult for them to set anything up in this game, and you have to credit Kuala Lumpur Hunters for that, because their play around the bot lane has just been immaculate so far, Arctic. Everything has been set up around the Zoroveki, around Caspiel for that support. Now, I don't think it's a good idea for the Gregor to jump in here.
No, not at all. That is one mad Olaf, and looks like Cosmic Radiance not making it in time, but that's going to be the full lockdown coming in from all Kuala Lumpur Hunters. Looks like Mickey, he's going to try to remedy this fight by going straight away for Zoroveki, but has to make his way out of there.
Yeah, I mean, Bigatron, they had to do something if they wanted to stop the push. That was probably the best case scenario, that only the support went down, but at what cost? KLH still were able to take down the tower, and that's really what they went for there, as Minky, he does have his flash.
Yeah, but he's gonna be caught between three. Make that four members of the Kuala Lumpur Hunters. Mintree tries to remedy that by jumping into the fight, but looks like he's gonna find himself at a deficiency. Two members of BTR go down.
Yeah, 15-1 in kills already. Can they find more here? Oh, no Radiance. He has to run.
Yes, he is on the run for his life. Tries to get a root onto our hedge, but this turret is as good as done. Just probably 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 hits at most. And man, KLH, they're on a roll right now. Take note, 6 turrets to nothing in comparison to the Indonesian squad. So I'd say this is almost straight up an outclass from KLH.
Yeah, you don't want to count anyone out, Arctic, but looking at how things have panned out so far, everything has been falling apart for Bigatron. And look at this, look at the flash from Zoroveki to dodge away from the hook shot. Just beautiful show of mechanics, and the denial from Poppy as well. There is no way they can get onto the Varus just because of that Poppy. So far, that pick really paying dividends for Kuala Lumpur Hunters.
And you know what? It's interesting that you bring that up, Chista, because as much as we want to try to look at angles for BTR to get back into this game, what angles we can try to look at, KLH ultimately shuts down, whether in terms of denying camps. Okay, so Minky finds an opportunity in the form of Caspiel, but looks like Shiro will be joining the fray. Minky just kind of forced to linger around, forced to back away, not going to push that.
I like what Shiro did there. He literally just walked up and Minky just backed up. Oh, they got a catch!
Yes, looks like they managed to find Zoroveki. Our hedge looks like may potentially be the next to fall. Actually manages to flash out in time, but just gets a dash out of there. So looks like no further casualties. Good pick up on Zoroveki, but that's still just a very small, minor consolation prize.
Yeah, they do pick up the Varus because the flash was burned earlier in the top lane, but I don't see Bigatron picking up an objective right after that kill onto Zoroveki. The Mountain Drake is up, but their jungler is on the opposite side of the map.
That is rather unfortunate. As soon as that transpired, like you mentioned, what value could they have gotten out of that pick off of Azura? So it looks like they find exactly that in the form of the Dragon. They will manage to take that. KLH just going to give that up, but still, it's a massive climb that they have to make to get back into this game.
Okay, so Kuala Lumpur Hunters actually opting to just give up that Baron over to Bigatron, but still, that's just a Mountain Drake over to their side. It won't help them scale towards the late game the same way an Infernal Drake would have done. Now, KLH, this is them saying, we want to end the game. And how do you end the game? You get Baron.
Yes, looks like so far can BTR at least try to contest this? Looks like they're going to turn things around straight away. They managed to find out Spade. Spade going to get slowed down. That's 4 members of KLH milling through them, and that's going to be a full collapse into the kill.
Yeah, now they can go back to Baron. There's no more Cosmic Radiance. Minky. Oh, he gets caught.
Looks like Minky gonna get caught indeed, dealing out with Shiro, but Shiro just dishing out so much damage. Minky gonna style his way out of there. Shiro, I don't think he can chase him down, but this is gonna be the time for KLH to shine by going for this Baron. Mintry, can he make the salvation and play to keep the dream alive for BTR in this game? Looks like Baron is slowly dwindling down. Mintry looking for that right opportunity. Oh, unfortunately does not get the steal, but he'll get willed down straight away. KLH coming up on top here.
Yeah, and not just that, the Baron going over to the Hunters. Oh, they're going for more.
Caspiel, just look at that, immediately wreaking fear into the hearts of both Radiant as well as Zico, just forced to back away. Oh, but looks like they might actually get this karma. What the just is in the vicinity as well. Looks for that taunt. The taunt does connect. Fortunately, Radiance. Ooh, the damage is just too much for him to deal with. Caspiel getting the kill. Spade, he's on the way towards the back. Gets slowed down and ooh, the heal for the salvation coming in from Zico. But okay, he actually survives Tail with the additional utility from the Taric.
Oh my god, he's gonna try and respond here. It's a very fast Rengar, but really, do you want to jump on anyone from Kuala Lumpur Hunters? Baron buff on their side. 4 men strong. Oh, they're trying to find a Rengar?
Are they? Looks like KLH, they're taking a little bit more easier, but they're going to turn things around. This is a full-on fight that's happening right here. Caspiel looking very low. Finally, the shutdown coming in for BTR, but the damage is just too much for them to deal with. Coming in from RH, it looks like KLH going to go for the pick-chick perfect finish.
Yeah, and with that triple kill, I think that will cap off a very dominant game from the Kuala Lumpur Hunters. Bouncing back despite losing their first game, that will mean that they will pick up this game versus Bigatron Esports.
Yaltza, and that is going to be it. Team Malaysia securing their first win here in the Garena Premier League. GG, well played.
Yeah, and that's a great way to bounce back, Arctic. Regardless of them dropping their first game of the day, they will go home with a 1-1 standing. And after that game, you have to look at Kuala Lumpur Hunters and the way that Caspiel played. He really set up both Ozarovecki and What the Jest for success with some very decisive and well-executed dives. So looking forward, the other teams, you have to watch out for how this team plays, because if they get rolling, it just keeps on going.
Exactly. Look at KLH. They're starting to kind of pick up speed here in the GPL. For Bigatron Esports, though, I'm kind of worried for them at this point, because this was one of the question marks that I had in my mind, wherein their dominance in the Garuda series was pretty much prevalent, which led them to defy the odds, turning their 6th placement from the previous split into a champion title as of this recent spring season. So, I don't know, man. I guess it's coming down to the wire for them. They need to perform heading into day 2, or else that dream to proceed to playoffs, kind of heartbreaking to think of.
Yeah, and we did talk about this in the before the game started, where the stakes were a bit high, because whoever loses this match means that they will be in a very, very difficult spot if they want to qualify for playoffs. But I think now we're about to head into our 5th match. It will be between Mineski and Sovereign. So I think before we start that, though, we will take a short break. We have been your Shoutcasters. My name is Chisto. With me was Arctic. See you after the break.